Johnson. I'm the Director of Commuter Services. I was asked today to come and give you a presentation on some of the parking changes that affect you very directly because it's the parking lot and the garage that's right outside your front door. The format today, I'm going to be presenting some information based on questions that were asked in advance. And then at the end, I have a few experts here from my department that will address any additional questions you might have so that we can make sure you leave today feeling comfortable with the information that I've given you and having the opportunity to answer, for me to answer any of your questions and for you to comment if you'd like a comment. We can pretty much address with the people I have here anything that you're going to ask. So I'm going to quickly introduce them, so if you will stand up. I have Laura Healy, who's in charge of our permits, Colin Simmons, who does our visitor parking, Johnny Wasden, who does enforcement, Shay Llewellyn is our communications manager. I have Solomon Brumbaugh and David Moyes, who are with construction, and we are pleased that our executive director, Alma Allred, is here as well. I don't think that he'll need to answer any questions, so you can relax. Go back to sleep. Okay, we're going to start today with just a little bit of an overview of the construction project. We have this new garage that's being built right outside your door. It's being titled, for now at least, the Central Garage. We have been referring to it previously as the Business Loop Garage, but you may have heard that the Business Loop is going away, and I'll address that in a little while. The garage itself is going to have the capacity for over 800 stalls, and the construction has been going on since last year. It's probably now looking like a finished project more and more every day. The target date for what they consider to be substantial completion, meaning it might not be all the way done, but it will be done enough that people can start parking in there, will be about the second week of August. We were hoping that it would be a little bit before that, so we could make sure that before fall rush and the students start coming back, that we have everything up and operational. We are confident that it will be done before school starts, and our target date is the 12th of August. So you should start in the next month seeing that the project is looking more like a garage and less like a construction zone. The cost was just a little over $14 million. And one exciting element that will be added to this garage that is unlike any of the others that you'll see in the area, there will be a play field on top. So it adds a little bit of bonus for the students to be able to have that soccer field, the play field on top of the parking garage, and it'll look a little bit nicer. They kind of joke that it's going to look like a prison yard, but it won't. It'll look really nice. The completion will probably take a few weeks after August 12th before everything is cleared out and finished and you don't see any workers there anymore. But for your purposes, you can look at August 12th as the date that you'll be able to start parking there. The surface lot that is currently being used as a construction staging area, so not the garage itself, but the part that's adjacent where they are parking the machinery, where they're loading and unloading all of the equipment, that staging area will return to be surface parking. Primarily, it's not going to return to be the A lot that it once was. There will be some pay-by-phone visitor parking stalls in there. There will be some reserved stalls, and the balance that's left will be A parking. We aren't sure at this time how many A stalls there will be there, because the way that we work parking, if you want a reserved stall, you pretty much get to pick wherever you want it to be. So if more people would like to park on that surface lot than park in the garage with their reserved stalls, there will be fewer A stalls in that parking lot. You will notice right now that you used to have a visitor pay lot. For many, many years, you had a visitor pay lot right in that location that was, I'm going to be directionally challenged, west of where the garage is. And all of a sudden, one day, a couple of weeks ago, it was turned into A parking. That's part of the construction. What happened was we needed to remove the gates that allowed people that were visiting to enter and exit the parking lot and pay for their parking. Because we needed to remove the gates before we were ready to convert to our new visitor parking system, we turned it into an A lot on a very temporary basis. And I'd just like to apologize that we didn't get the word out well enough to you, that it's just going to be temporary during the last month of construction, that lot will be A, and then it will revert back to the pay lot. You'll see some changes to the pay lot, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So if you have questions about construction, if I haven't been clear enough, do I have anybody that wants me to clarify something we've already discussed?
So the surface lot that you're referencing, the staging area, is that hay lot?
The,
That's the
there,
east of the building. East of the building, there's a bunch of construction traffic.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so your question was about the staging. I'm going to repeat your question because this is being recorded, so people later can understand the answer. There are actually what looks like two staging areas, one to the east of the garage and one to the west. The one to the east is much larger, and that used to be where the A parking was. That will be converted back, what's left of it, to A parking when the garage is open. The part that's to the west will return to be part of the visitor pay lot. Okay, any other clarification needed? All right, we'll move on to our future construction. Now this is still a little bit up in the air because we don't have definite plans and nothing has been bid. There isn't a final approved plan. Several iterations show a shuttle road, and this will most likely be constructed in the next year, that will pass through the middle of campus to bisect campus, making it easier for our shuttles to get people from one side to the other. If you'll notice in our shuttle environment today, in order for you to get from the Eccles building to the Union, you have to drive all the way around campus in a big circle. You won't be able to necessarily do anything other than the shuttle, because you can't drive your cars on this new road. It'll cut through campus, making it a much shorter shuttle ride from the business loop and the business area over to the Union and the other side of campus. The construction on this, like I said, is still in the design phase. We have some federal funding secured. We have funding that the university will have to kick in. So until we have all the funding in place and until we have an approved design and the bid has been sent out, I can't give you exact information. I can just show you approximate. The other thing that you may have heard is about the business loop closing, and they're being built a roundabout and a central plaza. That was supposed to be in connection with the garage, but because of funding concerns, that project has been postponed until next year. They're reviewing the design. I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be yet until we have those final stamped plans, but what I can tell you is that there are still, there's no intention in the next year to close the business loop. It will still be open to through traffic until that plaza is designed and the construction starts there. So what you see now will be in place through the school year until the next construction season starts, which probably will be after commencement next year before you'll see any changes. And what we would like to do is develop a relationship with you that we can come in and tell you in advance about what these changes will be once we know what they're going to be, so you can be prepared. And it won't be a situation like it was with the pay lot suddenly becoming an A lot overnight. We'll give you some advance notice so you'll know. Do you have any questions about the new construction?
Will you be able to still walk through where that shuttle is going to be?
Okay, your question was, will you still be able to walk through? Absolutely you will. The roads will be designed so that posts come up to prevent other cars from going through. The shuttle will be able to lower the posts and drive through, so you won't need to worry about cars. You'll just need to be worried about the very quiet electric shuttle. We want to make sure that we make it safe for pedestrians without limiting the ability of the shuttle to travel on that road, and that's what we're still designing.
There's a 10-foot sidewalk on the east side of the road.
Okay, if you didn't hear that, there's a 10-foot sidewalk on the east side of the road going the full length, so you'll have the sidewalk as well. Okay, other questions? Great, we'll move on. This is where we start to get a little bit excited because this affects you more directly. We're going to be talking next about the permits. We have two different types of permits that we will be inviting into the new central garage. When we constructed it, it was with the understanding that students would be allowed to park there, that it wouldn't just be for faculty. So the two types of permits that will be available will be what we'll call a central U permit and a central A permit. And central just meaning the central garage. Because we know that garages, when they're built, change the place people want to park. It changes our traffic patterns, it changes the way people choose to purchase their permits. We aren't exactly sure how many people are going to stand in line when these permits go on sale to buy permits. We aren't sure how many people want reserved stalls in the garage. So one thing I want you to be aware of, we're going to be as flexible as we can. We're starting out by, instead of charging our typical T rate for parking in a garage, we are charging the A rate for parking in the garage. So we're backing off a little bit from our standard price because more than anything, we want the garage to be filled. It doesn't make any sense to build a parking garage and have 200 or 300 stalls empty. That doesn't make any sense at all. So what we're going to do is we're opening up to students who can buy the student Central U permit. What that will allow is anyone with that permit can park in the garage or in any other U stall on campus or in any E stall on campus. So you have your choice of that garage only or any U or any E. Most of the time when we sell a permit for a garage, you can only park in that garage and nowhere else. That allows us to make sure that there's a place for you to park in the garage. Sometimes you will, I'm sure, be very aware of this. You'll drive into an A lot and every stall is filled. That's because the A lots apply everywhere on campus. They aren't lot specific. And we always have A parking available somewhere. People just shift around where they park until they find whatever the balance is. It's the same with the U parking. We're going to allow people to park in the garage, and then as an overflow, or if they need to drive somewhere else on campus, they can park in other U stalls. Now the A permit, the central A, will act exactly the same way. You can park in the garage with that permit, or you can park in any other A stall. Whether it's the A stalls that are on the surface lot that's right outside of the garage, or whether it's the A stalls that are over at the Huntsman Center, or wherever else your job takes you on campus, if you purchase the Central A permit, you can park in the garage and in any other A stall. For people who may want to mostly use public transportation and occasionally want to park on campus, we have day passes that are available. You can purchase those for the whole day or any portion of the day that's segmented by morning, mid-afternoon, afternoon, evening, and the prices vary depending on when you want to come to campus. So those are available for you or for your visiting guests as an alternative to the pay lot. Okay? I'm going to go just a little bit further before I take questions on permits because I have some pricing information that's coming up next. The prices that are posted here are those that were approved by the President's Office 3 or 4 years ago and take us out to the year 2023. You'll notice that every year the cost of parking is going up. And the reason why is because we don't have the ability to build any more surface lots. As the demand for parking increases, the only thing we can do to meet that demand is to build parking garages. And if you'll remember from a previous slide, the one that we built here in the business loop, the central garage, is over $14 million. We need to be able to pay the bond. And the way that we're going to pay it is by increasing the cost of parking. We're offering alternatives in the form of free access on UTA. It's free to you. Your department pays the transportation fee that's associated with providing that. So you can ride any UTA bus, you can ride Front Runner, you can ride Trax without paying an additional fee. You'll pay more for parking, and your public transportation will be free. So if you'll notice, if you follow the line that says fiscal year 16, the cost of an A permit or a central U permit, that's the one that lets you into the garage and then any other U stall, is going to be $498 for fiscal year 16. That's the year that we are in starting January 1st. So next week, July 1st, thank you, Shay. Starting July 1st, so next week, we will be switching to the new pricing. The cost of a central A, that's the one that lets you into the garage or into any other A stall, is $552. It's a little bit more, about $1 a week more than a typical A permit, the reason we're pricing it a little bit higher is so that everyone with an A doesn't just buy the central A permit, because that would be really difficult for us if they have no intention of parking there on a regular basis, but only want to park there maybe once every month. They figure, why not? It's the same price. Let's just go and buy the central A permit. It doesn't give us a very good indication of who will actually be parking there, and consequently will undersell the number of permits that we allow. So that's why it's a little bit higher, but not too much higher. Then you have your regular U permit, or the D is the disabled permit. That will be $220. Students are able to purchase a U permit or the central U, but they are not ever permitted to park in A parking. A parking is reserved for faculty and staff. Then the next line down is an MR. That is a 24-hour reserved stall in a garage. So if you want 24-hour reserved stall, $1,974. The R is a reserved stall that would just be a 12-hour reserved stall, would be the $1,590. And then where it says T or D, that is a terrace permit. That's typically what we charge to park in the garages. So instead of paying $942 to park in the garage, in the central garage, would only be $552. So it's a discount from our regular rate. And the reason why we're doing that, once again, is to make sure we can fill the garage. We want people to be able to park there. MC is a motorcycle permit. It's $60. And then the E permit is the one that allows you to only park in the economy lot. And I say lot now instead of lots, because the only E parking that will be left on campus will be the lot on Guardsman Way. All of the other lots have been converted already, or are being converted as of July 1st of this year to either U parking or A parking, depending on where it was. So going forward, the only E lot will be the lot on Guardsman. The reason why we put it out there, we know it's cheaper, it's because nobody wants to park there. There are typically, Johnny, 400, 500 empty stalls there every single day, and until we can provide for people public transportation alternatives that meet their needs in a better way, because we know there are still places that are underserved with public transportation. UTA doesn't go everywhere quite yet where you might need it to. We're going to keep the economy lot around, and then we run shuttles to the economy lot. So it goes from the lot on Guardsman to the rest of campus as a less expensive alternative for the people for whom public transportation just doesn't work. So I know that parking is one of the biggest complaints people have, and I know that it is expensive. I put together some charts just to kind of give you a few alternatives. We do have less expensive parking. Permits are not required after 4 p.m. if it's someplace that's south. Is it south of? So Guardsman lot, you don't have to pay for parking if it's after 4. We don't enforce after 8 for people who are coming to campus later in the evening. We used to stop enforcing at 6. We've spread that out so we don't stop until 8. So the people who are coming later have to pay for parking the same way everybody else has to pay, to make it a little bit more fair and balanced depending on when you're coming to campus. I included this comparison with the other Pac-12 schools that we have. We're less expensive than pretty much everywhere else. Oregon is only slightly less expensive for faculty and staff parking. But when you're looking at what students pay to park, we're the cheapest. So we're trying to make it affordable. I know it still is expensive. It cuts into your budget. We realize that. We encourage people to take public transportation for those reasons. So this is the end of the permit part of my presentation. Do I have anyone with questions about the permits? Yes?
So if we did decide to go up to that central A, we have to go into Commuter Services to do that? Would that be, are you insane?
Okay, permits for the central garage will not go on sale until August 1st. because we don't have the parking built yet. So we don't want to sell it and make you pay an increased price without having that increased benefit. So permits will go on sale the first part of August. We'll start advertising a little more broadly when we have a higher level of confidence on the date that it will actually be open, and when it becomes closer to August 1st, we'll start advertising more broadly about that permit. Your question about, I got sidetracked. There was another part of that, another element.
Going into commuter services rather
Oh,
than.
you have to go in. You have to go into the office. That depends. You can always purchase a permit online. You can always purchase a permit online if you're paying cash price. If you are faculty or staff and you want this to be a continuous payroll deduction, you have to still go into our office to do that. We are trying to upgrade so you can take care of that online, but our system needs to speak with payroll in a better way than it currently does for us to allow you to have access to go in and change those kinds of permits. So, but you only have to do it once. If you're buying a cash permit, you have to repurchase that every year. Your permit will expire on June 30th, and before July 1st, you'll have to go and buy another one. If it's continuous payroll deduction, you never have to do anything about it again, unless you want to. If you want to upgrade or if you want to cancel it, you're allowed to do that during our enrollment period, which is pretty much around July. We're extending the enrollment period because the central garage permits will be on sale August 1st instead of July 1st. So when you decide during the month of August that you really like that new garage and you want to buy a permit, if you want it to be continuous payroll deduction, you'll have to go into our office and set that up so that we know it's something that you want. It's money coming out of your paycheck, and we are very sensitive about taking your money without making sure that it's something that you wanted to have happen. I saw another hand over here.
So you come forward to the office even though you already have it set up.
If you already have a payroll deduction set up, and I'm going to ask Laura for clarification, do you still need to go into the office if you just want to change the permit?
No, you can give us a call or email us as well, or go through our comments email. Just or call us 164 or 15, I think it is. Then you don't have to come in, and we'll just make the adjustment.
Okay, so if you're already set up, then giving us a call or sending an email to let us know you'd like to change from the permit you currently have to the Central A will be fine. You don't need to come in person if you are already set up for continuous payroll deduction. It's another question.
In the lot, how many are going to be Central A spots versus Central U spots? And will our current A passes then let us park in the Central U spots?
Okay, your question was how many of the stalls in the garage will be Central A and how many will be Central U, and whether or not your current A pass will let you park there. Okay, first of all, I'll take the part about your current A pass. You will only be able to park in the central garage if you have a central garage permit. We will limit the number of them that we sell so that we don't have more people purchasing the permit than we have room for them to park. We want you to be able to park there if you buy the permit. So the other part of that is how many will be U and how many will be A. We are not going to designate U versus A stalls in that garage. We're going to have the U and the A permit, but we are going to limit the number that we sell of each. So the way that it will be limited won't be by where you park, it will be by how many of that type of permit are offered to people. So usually in a regular lot, we will oversell the lot. We have no way of knowing whether someone who buys an A permit wants to park over in Merrill Engineering, whether they want to park over by the stadium, or whether they want to park by the Huntsman Center. We have no way of knowing. So we sell as many A permits as anybody wants to buy, as long as you qualify to buy it. When we sell permits for a garage, we limit the number that we sell. So we'll sell a few more than we have spaces because everybody isn't there at the same time. But what we do is go in and count periodically and at different times during the day how many empty stalls there are. And then we will sell more until there aren't very many empty stalls. You'll still find a place to park. Typically, you'd be able to find a place to park, but you don't have a stall that's necessarily reserved for you.
So is the only real benefit of purchasing the Central A versus purchasing the Central U of parking options outside of the parking structure?
Yes, that is the only benefit. If you purchase Central U, you can't park in another A stall somewhere else on campus. But if you never would anyway, then it makes more sense for you to purchase the Central U instead of the Central A. We ordinarily, if we were not offering this type of parking to students, wouldn't have the designation between the Central A and the Central U. The reason there's a designation is so students who purchase a permit to park in the garage can't also park in another A lot somewhere else on campus. Okay, did you have a question as well?
So you're charging a lesser A right now. Is it going to go to a terrace pricing?
That will depend upon usage, completely depend upon usage. So the way we price parking on campus, the most desirable parking is more expensive. And it will always be more expensive because it's more desirable. So that's kind of how we work which stalls are A. You won't ever see an E stall that's right outside the Merrill Engineering Building. It will never be there. Okay, another question?
Address disabled parking structure.
Okay, disabled parking is regulated by the federal government. We have an edict we must follow, and we do not have the flexibility to stray from federal regulation. So what they do when they determine how many disabled stalls are anywhere, they count the total number of stalls, they have a formula that applies to the total number of stalls, and that's how many disabled stalls are put in that structure or in that surface parking lot. The difference is sometimes you can count adjacent parking lots as the same lot. So you'll find occasionally one area will have a lot of disabled parking and you'll look at the parking lot and think it doesn't seem proportional. It's because that disabled will count because it's much closer than a lot that's farther away. So what will happen with the garage when we know exactly how many stalls will be in there, and it depends a little bit, it fluctuates. It'll be around 800, 810. When we know exactly how many, we plug that number into the federally provided formula, and that's how many disabled stalls will be in the parking garage. The same will apply to the surface lot. There will be disabled stalls, and anybody who has a disabled permit is also required to have a disabled placard on their car. So you can't just get a disabled permit. We will sell you a disabled permit, but if you don't have a disabled placard as well, you won't be able to park there.
Will you need a special permit, central permit if you're disabled?
You will need a central disabled permit.
And will that be more expensive?
No. It'll be the same price.
So out here in the museum lot, there are handicap spots.
Yes.
Available to visitors, free.
Yes.
And I parked out there with my placard because they didn't realize they were going to get tickets without it. So if I want to park in the garage, I'll need to get a special permit.
You'll need to have a permit to park in the garage, yes.
A central disabled permit.
Yes.
But that will work in other permit.
Yes.
Permit everywhere on campus.
Yes. The only place it won't work is in visitor parking, so you can't pull up to a disabled stall in the pay lot and not pay. The way that it works, the law allows us to let you park at the meter if you're disabled for what they term a reasonable amount of time. So if you're parking there for a couple of hours, you're going to be fine. If you're parking there all day, you'll get a ticket. Do you understand?
Yeah, so you'll be able to pull up to one of the pay-by-phone things for a short period of time.
Short period of time, absolutely. If you have a disabled placard on your car, you have to have the disabled placard. You can pull up to any meter,
Right.
to any pay-by-phone stall, which for us operates the same as a meter. Park there for an hour, you're going to be fine. You park there all day, the first day you'd probably be fine. Johnny's officers are really good at allowing for someone who really might be a visitor. If you park there all day the second day, you will most likely
Yeah, but the issue was, is there a central disabled permit? And
Yes,
there is.
yes, there will be a central disabled permit that
And
will
I
allow
go to
you.
the office to get that?
You'll be able to buy everything online except if you want continuous payroll deduction. Then you need to either call the office, email us if you've already got it set up, or come in. Are we good?
Melissa,
Okay.
how much notice would you get between, okay, you determine that this is a high commodity for people to park in, and all of a sudden you decide that we need to increase the prices or limit the spaces in order to adjust? How much notice will people be given that, okay, now if you purchase the central A parking to be able to have that, but now we realize that we need to adjust those, according to the demand, how much notice will those individuals get, or does it finish out the year and then start with the next year?
Absolutely, we'll finish out the year. So the question was, if we decide that we're going to price things differently, how much notice will people get? We will not price things any differently during the middle of the year. Your permit is an annual permit. If we decide to raise prices, or if we decide to limit access, that will only happen when it comes to the pricing your permit, at the beginning of the next permit year. So July 1st will be the only time your permit price will increase. We quite often change parking designations as things change on campus. Construction projects come in and we have to change parking designations. We quite often make A parking out of old U parking, because if the A parking is closed for construction, the U parking gets moved farther away and the old U parking becomes the new A parking. And then when the construction project is finished, it goes back to the way it was. We might change parking designations, and we'll give you as much advance notice as we possibly can. So your permit will not change price during the year, and we will announce in advance what's going to happen for the next year. We'll try to give you as much warning as we possibly can. Yes?
Are the 800 parking stalls that you're anticipating in the terrace going to be based on the average size of an MG midget, or are they going to be based on real car sizes?
They are smaller than a midget. That's why we have 800. No, they actually follow federal standards. They are a standard parking stall. And David here probably knows that off the top of his head, but I don't. I'm going to say like 9 feet, but that would be a guess.
Wide, 18 feet long, so they're larger than surface stalls on pads.
9 feet wide, 18 feet long.
No more dings in my doors.
All right.
Melissa, do you anticipate any sort of a wait list? Okay, you're not going
We-
to pre-sale, or you can't do it before August 1st.
We have a wait list right now. Do we have a wait list? Yeah, like 30 people are on it out of 800 stalls. So we do have a wait list. If you are anxious, you can log on to our website and add your name to that wait list. It is identified as, is it lot 13, lot 12, lot 11? I knew it wasn't 12. It's lot 11. The garage in lot 11, it might be titled the Central Garage if we've changed and updated the name. It used to be called the Business Loop Garage, but you're safe if you go with lot 11.
Is it possible to buy the ticket partway through the year and get a discounted rate, or do you have to pay the full amount of your buying?
No, we discount based upon how much of the year is left. If you do continuous payroll deduction, then you start paying, and it's the same amount out of every paycheck. I'm going to say $17.25 is the amount that's coming out of your paycheck now for an A permit. So it would be, I don't know, around $20. And you could start in January or February, and as long as there's availability, once we've sold enough that we will probably sell no more than 15% more than capacity, and maybe not that much, is typically what we do with our garages, and we find that there are still empty stalls. When we get to the part that there aren't empty stalls anymore, then you will have to join the waiting list instead of just being able to purchase it outright. And that's why we have the wait list. But right now, we have plenty of capacity. If you're concerned, you can go ahead and put your name on the wait list.
So my position on the wait list guarantees me a spot if I call in on
Your position on the wait list guarantees you a spot until you get to the number 800. So if you are number 792 on the wait list, you are guaranteed a spot. If you're number 810, maybe, maybe not, at least not right away. And I think we're 30 or 40 of them sold now. So you have all of you. There's plenty of room for you on the wait list today. If that's what you want, you can be guaranteed. We also have a number of people who want reserved stalls already in the garage or in the business loop surface or the central garage surface lot. There will be plenty of room if you also want a reserved stall. That is where I would say get your name on the reserved wait list sooner rather than later, because the person at the top of the list gets first pick. So if you're number 20 on the list for reserves, 19 people ahead of you may pick the one you had your heart set on. That might make you a little bit sad.
So is there going to be a separate reserve, wait list for disabled?
There won't be a separate wait list for disabled. Because of the way we work the garage, it won't be a problem. It's not a problem in any of our other garages. The ones that are really full, I'm telling you right now, it will not be a problem. But put your name on the wait list in the position that it is now, and you will be fine.
If you want to put our name on the wait list for the surface lot, not the garage, what lot is that?
Okay, the surface lot, you will only be able to put your name on. There isn't a wait list for a surface lot because it's done a little bit differently, unless you want a reserved stall.
That's what I mean.
You want a reserved stall on the surface lot.
Do you need a wait list or do you?
There isn't a wait list. I know there isn't a wait list. Typically we don't have that problem because people don't buy reserved stalls in parking lots that are brand new. We just don't suddenly erect a new parking lot. It's the garage that's new. So there will be availability on the surface lot. If you are concerned, call our office. They'll direct you to the person that does the reserved stalls. You can tell her what you want, and then when that parking lot becomes available again, she'll give you a call. She's really good about working with the people who want reserved stalls. But we don't have a wait list for a surface lot.
And they get to pick where their reserved spot.
Yes, within reason.
Let's say that they're in the museum lot right now, that's where they've been moved to. They're okay there, but maybe a month or two later they decide, I really want to be in the garage. They could call and have their reserved spot moved.
Absolutely. You can always have your reserved spot moved. When I say within reason, we charge you a fee because we have to take down the signs and put up the signs. We don't want people changing their reserved stalls every other week. Unless they really want to, they pay the fee. They pay what it costs us to change them to a new location, and we will absolutely do it. You cannot have a reserved stall where a disabled stall is unless you have a disabled placard. So if you have a disabled placard and you want a reserved stall, you can reserve the disabled stall. But otherwise, you can't. Yes?
If you have a reserved pass and you park in the upper campus, is that reserved pass okay to park in the central garage? Or so, little background, I have a director who parks up by our building, but he's almost always coming down to the business school. Does he need to buy another pass?
He won't be able to buy another pass. With a reserved stall from upper campus, typically you can park in an A, so you can park in a surface A stall, but you cannot park in the central garage. You don't get to have a pass for two garages. Other questions? Yes?
Will the museum lot stay A when the reserve people decide they want to be closer now? Will that stay A? You don't convert any of that?
To you? It will most likely stay A, but we make those changes based upon usage. So if it's A and half of the A stalls are empty all of the time, then we convert those stalls to use so that they'll be occupied. So we constantly make changes and fine-tune the parking designations. So I said your price isn't going to change. Some of the parking designations do. We will give you as much advance notice to the changes as we can. We put signs out about 2 weeks before the changes to let people know that changes are coming. A lot of the changes are caused by construction projects, but not all of them. Some of them are just changes in usage patterns. Other questions? Yes?
You talked about the 800 slots that you have in the parking garage, and there's reserved parking. Was what happened across the museum, we started out, you put the reserve people over there, and then a lot of people decided this is crazy, and they all started doing the reserve, so it really cut
No, we never limit the number of Rs. So you asked, what are we going to do when reserved stalls become more desirable and outnumber the number that we currently have there? What happens to the A parking is that the U parking becomes A parking, and the U gets pushed farther away from campus. So the way we price it and the way that it works is reserved stalls, if you're willing to pay for a reserved stall, you get the guarantee that stall will always be open, and if it's not, we'll tow whoever's there away. You have that guarantee. You pay more for it, you get to pick your spot, and that's where you are. Most people don't want to pay for a guaranteed parking stall. So most people opt instead for the A parking or for the garage parking. If it gets to the point where most people are opting for a reserved stall, we will most likely build another garage. If the garage is completely full with R and there isn't anywhere else for the A's to be, that will indicate that we need more parking than we have. Our projections do not show that happening. So in the projections out to 2023, we are not predicting that anything like that will happen. If we are surprised and it does, it tells us we need to build more parking garages, and we'll be looking at another surface lot to convert into a parking garage. Most likely, the next one on the list, I'm guessing, would be somewhere in the neighborhood of the stadium. I think the two that we have in Central Campus, the Northwest Garage that's over by Naval Sciences, and then the Central Garage that's right here by the Business School, will meet the demand for this area of campus for a good long time to come. Okay, do I have other questions? Ready to move on to visitor parking? Yes?
If I don't do anything, if I'm an A-pass right now and I don't do anything, can I park in the garage?
No. You need a central garage permit. Oh, Johnny likes it when you do. It gives his officers something other to do, other than driving around to do. Okay, visitor parking is changing. What we are having is advancement in technology. The old system, you would drive through the gate, you'd get a ticket, you'd park. When you were done, on your way out, hand the ticket to the nice young man or woman at the booth, and you pay however much they say to pay. If you are visiting and you have a validation, it reduced the amount that you would pay. You put the stamp on there, and your total bill as you're exiting would be less. The new system is going to be no gate and no person. So what we have are parking kiosks. This is a picture up here of what the machine looks like. It's very simple to operate the parking kiosk. The instructions are easy to read. They're right there on the machine, and the prompts from the keyboard, the keypad, direct you through every step. So it's very user-friendly. You just need to know your license plate number. You go up to the machine, you enter your license plate number, you put in how much time you are expecting to be there, and then you swipe your card. It doesn't take cash. You can pay by phone, you can pay with a card. Debit card, credit card, it just doesn't take cash. If you want to give someone a discount, if you want to give them what used to be a validation, we are still able at these machines to take those validations, but we'll operate it in a little bit of a different way. If you are the visitor and you find that you thought you were only going to be here an hour and you're sitting in class and you're really interested and engaged in what's going on and you want to be here for another hour, you can, with your phone, add time to your parking. So it allows you to manage it from your cell phone. It allows you to manage it from the parking kiosk that is the one you started out with, or any other parking kiosk. So if you're going by one that's a little bit closer to where you are from where you parked, you can manage your parking on a different kiosk than the one that all parking kiosks speak to each other. I don't know how many of you park in visitor parking on a regular basis, but I'm guessing that a lot of you have visitors that you need to manage their trips to campus. So we have coupons that take the place of validations. The The validations that you currently purchased will still be able to be converted into coupon parking, so you don't just lose the value of the validations that you've already purchased. We're making sure that you don't come out on the short end of that. Your validations can be exchanged. The coupon codes are incredibly versatile. You can set them for $1 off, $2 off, $10 off. You could set it for 50% of how, you just get a 50% discount on your parking. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. You can restrict the number of times that one coupon can be used, one code. You can broaden. You can have something that's only good on Mondays. You could have something that is good only on the second Tuesday of every other month for 4 times, and then it is no longer valid. So really, it will give you the ability to fine-tune who is using these coupon codes. And from an administrative and tracking perspective, because they have to enter their license plate number, we can tell you who used the coupon code. So you know how you keep track of your validations, and maybe you're thinking there's a possibility for abuse. Someone who probably shouldn't be using the validation is using it. If you think that's happening with your coupon codes, we can run a report for you and tell you the name of every single person that has used that coupon code, or their license plate numbers, and we have the ability to look the license plate numbers up and tell you who the car is registered to. So who drove it, maybe not, but who the car is registered to, we can tell you that detail, that level of detail on your parking information. It is very easy to use from the customer's point of view. When they're paying, they enter the coupon code and then they pay less. So it's easy for you to track, it's easy for your customer to use, for your visitor to use, and it's something that gives you a lot of flexibility to when you want those codes to be used. You can have one code that is good in a blanket way, or you can assign one person one code that is good for one use. We can tailor, and I think we can pretty much tailor make the coupon code itself to a large degree if you letters and numbers. So you can track which individual department or division is using it as well. So it won't be just blanket across your whole department. We can track it down to whatever level of detail you would like. Yes?
You said that they swipe their credit card when they depart, like bring a license plate beside their credit card. But what if they're not getting the coupon until after they're done?
Then they type it in after. Okay, the question, I forget to repeat the question.
People need to be proactively giving coupons before events, but we're being told that there's a way that we can go back into the system. If they come into the event, they've already paid $2 for parking, and then they say, oh, I got a coupon code that's good for the whole price or say half that price, they can go back out to the machine, type the coupon code in, and it will refund anything to their card or the department or vice versa. But the culture needs to change where they're getting that coupon code before they come to campus, and that's the great. You can email them that coupon code or send it to them on a business card or whatever, but the best way to use the system will be to give them that coupon code before your event.
Okay, so the question was, and I'm going to repeat this for the recording. The question was, what happens if they've already paid with their card before they get the coupon code? And the answer is, we prefer you to give out the coupon codes in advance, because then everything is a lot simpler for the customer. But if they get the coupon code after, the system is set up to accept the coupon code and refund the money back to the department or refund the money back to the person's credit card.
And they would be able to use that coupon. Say they're in your meeting and you gave them the code when they walked into this meeting. They would be able to, with the smartphone app, they would be able to retype that coupon code in and take care of it from inside, instead of going back out to the kiosk and typing the coupon code. You can do it all from your mobile devices.
Okay, and what Colin said, if you didn't hear, Colin said you'll be able to manage the coupon codes as well from your mobile device. So you can have people, when they attend your meeting, they can get the coupon code and with their smartphones, mobile devices, enter the coupon code and take care of their parking concerns right then as well. Okay, further questions on coupon codes?
Melissa, so as a department, let's say I schedule an event, and I have 30 people coming, and I can call ahead, and I can give them a validation
You won't be charged because you said up to 30. You will only be charged for the ones that were actually used.
And am I paying a discounted rate possibly because I'm paying a discounted rate for validation?
You get the discounted rate for visitor parking, the same as you did with validations. It will apply. It will just be implemented in a different way.
And how do I pay that with my chart build? Online? Do I call Commuter Services? How do I do
It'll be
that?
the same way when you run an event, for example.
Okay.
It'll be more connected like when we run events on campus. On the chart field, you'll have an invoice, you'll have every kind of documentation you need will be generated from the system. If it's by event, you'll get an invoice just for parking for that event. If you have a director that uses the code for himself or his special guest, and you want to be billed for that coupon code once a month, we'll send you a bill for just that coupon code once a month or whatever you set up.
And this coupon code or the validation code can be used at any meter.
Nope, just this lot 12 pay lot.
So I
for the
specify
kiosk.
which lot I want it to be.
And right now we'll only have this lot, at least until next season.
Right. Eventually, the rest of the lots on campus will be converted. So the question and the answer basically talked about the versatility. Can you just be billed for a single event? Yes. Can you be billed for an ongoing usage of a coupon? Yes. We can pretty much tailor make this to fit whatever your needs are. So it's something that has a lot of additional flexibility. The limitations right now are that it will only be good in this pay lot, lot 12, right out in front of the business building. Eventually, it will apply to other areas on campus, but for right now, this is the only one. We are. This is a beta site. We are planning, when this goes well, to replace other pay lots on campus with this same technology. The reason why we're starting here is because the lot was already under construction, and we could roll the installation of the equipment in with the construction of the parking lot. So it's a good place for us to start. Our intent is for this to replace the visitor pay lots throughout campus.
And the anticipated date for this to be completed?
End of July. So the anticipated date is actually, we're saying to people, by August 12th, everything in that lot, except some cleanup work inside the garage, will be done. It'll be up and operational. We anticipate that this part will be done a few weeks before, so the last part of July. We're anticipating that the coupon codes will be able to be used, and that the kiosks will be installed, and that visitor parking will be much different. The face of visitor parking is changing. Other questions? Yes?
How are we supposed to switch out our validations that we already have?
Just contact our office, and our office can help you switch them out in a way that best meets your needs.
We've already worked with, I don't know if she's in here, I've never met her, Brim Hall.
Kaylee?
Yeah, we've already worked with her. We exchanged a bunch of validations for A-day passes and a few other things. And she still has quite a few, but we're not ready yet to convert validations to coupon codes. We will be soon. And once that happens, we'll get notice to you. I'd hate for you to come up and bring a ton up now. If you need day passes right now, we can do some of those trades. But when the system is fully functional and ready, that's when we'll get in touch with you. You can start coming to us with your stacks of validations and we'll convert.
Okay, did you have a question as well? Same question, okay. Yes?
Because it's on a pay lot right now, for our events, we're doing a rental by day. So is that still available, or we just need to do the coupon codes once it is pay lot?
No, you can always do rental by day. We like to give you as many options as possible, and we will try to help you decide what best meets your needs. And from what I hear, there are changes coming in the way that you shop on campus. U-Marketplace is coming in the next little while, and that may change the way you buy things like this. We don't know. We are willing to help you, to make it easy for you, to meet whatever your needs are. So you can contact Collins Group is really good working with events. If you've worked with them before, you'll know they're really good, helping to meet whatever your parking needs are. Yes?
Before we've had employers or special guests coming up and able to have a spot, maybe it's the same thing where it's reserved in the pay lot, where there's a sign that says it's reserved so other people don't park there. Is that still going to be a possibility with these changes?
Yes, okay, the question was, when you have VIPs visiting, Is there a way for you to reserve a spot in the pay lot for that visiting VIP? Absolutely. There still is a way. We will handle the billing possibly a little bit differently, but the services that we offered before, we will still offer. They are expanding rather than shrinking. Other questions? Yes?
Can you talk about what happens during special events like basketball games or football games with the central garage?
I can in a very limited way because we're still talking about that with athletics. This is a new, okay, I forgot to repeat the question. The question was what happens during athletic events, special events that require a lot of parking spaces on campus. What we try to do is find a balance. We have these special events that are a very important part of the university campus life. We need to make accommodations as staff members, as faculty, as students when these very big events come on campus. What we try to do with Commuter Services is to give people enough notice in advance that something's coming, so you find another way to get to campus, you telecommute, you make arrangements with your department that you come in a little bit early and you leave a little bit early so you miss the event. We try to give you a heads up that it's coming and parking is going to be a problem. Then we open additional places and we run shuttles. And you might not be aware of that. We will open a grass area up in the fort. We'll allow people to park on the grass, staff members, and then we'll shuttle them to wherever they need to be on campus. Those are things that we do currently. The new parking garage adds an element that we haven't dealt with before. So this first year, we're asking for a little bit of patience until we determine what the best way will be to balance the needs of the people visiting campus with the needs of the people who are here for work or who are here for class. Those people's livelihood and their education depend upon their ability to access the university, and we are very well aware of that. We want to make sure we find the right balance. So we are not intending to evict anyone from the parking garage who comes to park during the day when there is an evening game. We do not plan to evict you. We might restrict your access at a certain point in time during the day. So typically what we have done in the past when it's basketball games in lot over by the Huntsman Center and the lot that's by the annex is we will say you can park there in the morning, but 2 o'clock, is it 2 or 3 o'clock, depends on what time the game starts, we put up barriers and we don't let people in anymore because athletics has reserved it for their VIPs. So if you're already parked there, we are not going to tow you away, we're not going to evict you, we are just going to not let you back in when you leave. So if you park in the central garage in the morning, you do your business and you leave at 4 o'clock, you won't be able to, you probably won't be able to get back in if there's an evening game going on. If you stay there until 6, you won't be towed out. You just won't be let back in if you leave. So that's typically how we handle it. Right now, it's new to us. We don't know what the demand is going to be. We anticipate that the demand will be very high. So we need to find that balance. And I would welcome your feedback. If you're finding that something just is not working for you, give me a call. Let me know that I brought some cards with me and I'll pass those out. Let me know that things aren't working and I'll try to come up with a workable alternative for you. We have shuttles that, we don't do this for everyone, but if you have an issue that can't be solved any other way, wherever you are, we send the shuttle to you and it picks you up and it brings you to wherever you need to be. So I know if you have limited mobility, we have a special shuttle that will just pick you up wherever you parked. We make exceptions during special events because we know that we can't get you 24-hour notice. What we do, Johnny's guys are really good to work with, Colin's guys are really good to work with. We'll even send a golf cart to pick you up. So we know that it causes problems, and we're willing to be as flexible and as accommodating as we possibly can be. What we can't do is just declare it a free-for-all. That doesn't work for anybody. So let us know. If you have concerns during these events, let us know what your concerns are. The more feedback we get from people who are using the service, the better we can balance out those different needs. Other questions?
So this kind of goes back to the permit issue, or kind of visitors. Let's say I have a visitor come in. Am I able to purchase instead of doing the validation, am I able to purchase a Central A name tag for the parking garage? Is that an
Right
option?
now, we don't have that as an option, but I think we're open to adding it as an option. A lot of it depends on availability. The reason why we typically don't allow day passes in parking garages is because we try to find exactly the right number of permits to allow in there. And it doesn't typically allow for there to be other people parking. So it becomes problematic if we limit the number that we sell and then we start passing out day passes for it. It doesn't really work as well.
I think a lot of that will depend on the demand. We have 800 spaces and we only have 500 people who want to park in there. We might supplement it with day passes just to help fill the garage up. But remembering the balance is we want to make sure that people who have purchased a permit for that garage have a place to park.
So for those who didn't hear, Alma basically said, we're going to wait and see. And if we don't have the parking garage filled with people who want to park there on a regular basis, we are open to supplementing it with day passes. At this point, we don't know what the demand will be. Hey, other questions? Yes?
Just regarding the new coupons, right now, emeritus faculty folks can park in pay lots for free, correct?
Yes.
What's the deal with that, with the coupon codes versus, because right now they show the person their thing, but if there's no person, are they allowed to park here or no?
We are, right now, they will be allowed to park there. I think it might work more in line with having them have a hang tag. And then enforcement will just not write them a ticket, or they might have a coupon code that they will very specifically use. There are possibilities that we haven't discussed what we're going to do with our emeritus. So that's a point we will have to find an answer for. And that's a little bit of a tricky situation there.
Sure.
Did you have a question? No? Anyone else? Okay, it looks like that about wraps things up. If you have questions that arise in the future, please feel free to contact anyone in Commuter Services. You can dial just our regular, is it 16415? Gets you to our front desk, and from there they'll transfer you, or you can call me directly, and if I can't answer the question, I can get back to you with the answer. And I do have some business cards. If I didn't bring enough, I can drop some off a little bit later in the day just to let you know. You can also look me up and call me that way. I'm very happy to take your questions. We have a new communications manager. I'm going to have her come up so you can see her. She was not expecting this. This is Shay Llewellyn. She will be handling most of the communication from this point. She's going to be your first point of contact when you have questions about changes that are coming down. She will be reaching out to you to let you know where and when those changes will occur. So thank you very much, and catch me after if you would like a business card. Thanks.